the fact that so many crucial people that drove the 60s music revolution came from intelligence and military families.
Laurel Canyon.
Laurel
Yeah, the
Canyon,
Laurel
yeah.
Canyon scene. Yeah,
Yeah,
McGowan's book. Yeah.
yeah, it's a very, very good book. I read it ages ago. And, Jim Morrison and all these people. So when you look at the Beatles and you look at the impact they had, um, obviously there's something more to know, to say the bloody least. There's something to know about their manager Epstein, another Epstein. I've not looked into it in detail, but I'm very open to the fact that that phenomenon did not happen by accident. Absolutely not.
I think like George and John kind of pushed back against that in the later years, especially John. I mean, he was being watched by the FBI. I mean, I think Lennon probably realized what was going on, and he had enough of it, and he wanted to play at big anti-war rallies, and he was a real threat.
Yeah, and he'd also sussed a lot of things. I mean, I don't think he'd sussed the whole situation. That takes one heck of a lot of research. But he'd sussed a lot of things. When he had the quote about the world being run by insane people for insane ends. I mean, he pretty much described where we are. I mean, these people may be clever in the sense that they understand and work to understand human psychology. This is why they're very expert mass manipulators of human perception. But they're insane. They're utterly insane. They're mad.
Yeah, exactly. No, I still think that's one of the great tragedies from the '60s music scene is the loss of John Lennon in 1980. I mean, we lost 40 years of.
Yeah, I think we all felt it. I felt it. I was working on it with the BBC at the time, and it really hit me when he died. It was like, a voice of sanity in terms of what was going on in the world. A voice of sanity has died, and it hit me greatly, as it did many people.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what's the feeling in England right now on Prince Andrew overall? Would you say, because there's this perception that the royal family is trying to scold him or exile him in the wake of the whole Epstein deal, but that feels like a farce. Like they're trying to make it look like they're pushing him aside. But what's the feeling on Prince Andrew right now?
Well, I'm going to talk about Margaret Thatcher just very briefly. Because,
the Iron Lady.
Yeah, the Iron Lady. Because Margaret Thatcher had this philosophy that worked very well for her until the cult wanted rid of her in the end, because she was resisting absorption into the European Union. And her philosophy was this. She used to call it toughing it out. And her philosophy was that no matter what trouble you were in and how you were being criticized, etc., and people were trying to use a situation to remove you, whatever. If you tough it out, in other words, if you just don't give in, then something else will come along, probably shortly, but certainly eventually, that's going to take you off the front pages and what the trouble you're in off the front pages, and it's going to be something else. This is one of the things about this pandemic is that it's so dominated the front pages. What the heck else has been going on that's not been reported? So this cult works on that tough it out philosophy. So at the moment, after the big furore about Prince Andrew when the Epstein story broke, obviously with this pandemic dominating everything, it's hardly mentioned. Prince Andrew's hardly mentioned. And what they've done is they've just pushed him aside in the public arena. They've pushed him aside because he was in danger of again being a gateway to a much greater unraveling of the web or